Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. I'm Nathanius, joined by In Control, as we get ready to go into our loser match for Group A of WCS Challenger for Summer Europe Edition. Exciting times, Jeffrey.
It is, man. Thrilled.
Absolutely thrilled.
Ecstatic.
Would you say that you're over the moon, perhaps?
Yes.
Good. Good.
I had a joke in my head, but I stifled it because I was like, not today.
Not today.
Keep it a family broadcast.
Okay. Keep it family friendly.
That's the development that I have.
Really great character arc here in Season 3 of WCS. We're introducing some new folks. We got Roddy back. And, yeah, it's going to be DnS, right, going up against Bly. Some PVZ action. I know you're very, very fond of it. Do you think we'll see Immortals and Warp Prisms in this game?
I mean, that's what everyone talks about, and certainly that is the strong meta, but kind of like Roddy was talking about a little bit with how Goblin is a stylized player, Bly is a stylized player. So yes, you could see that, but of the guys I'd be worried to do the meta thing against, it would be Bly.
That's fair.
You just like try to attack, and then here comes the counterattack of 6 Ravagers and 30 Lings. You didn't see that coming. Game gets weird, you lose. I'm not saying that necessarily is going to stop DnS, but it's a concern for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are going to kick this series off on Thunderbird. And maybe in your matches or what you've been watching, anything PVZ-wise that's jumped out to you for that? We're just waiting for the game to start at this point.
Yeah, I know. We're just, of course, talking the StarCrafts as we were. I was going to say shooting something, but we don't shoot those things here.
No.
Now I'm sidetracked entirely. No. The map pool is great. It's kind of the same thing I say, like it's a larger map pool. Yes, you were talking about this in the first matchup where there's interesting opportunities to open up avenues by mining out the minerals. I really like that stuff. I would love if some of that got busted out here at WCS because these guys have had a while to prepare, and you don't necessarily just do what you do on the ladder here at WCS. You know your group. You know what to prepare for. So I'd love to see some of that. But I'm more interested in seeing DnS recover. Bly, that was a weird series, right? That was over in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
he can look past that. DnS got murderlated. Euthermal made him look bad.
He did attack into like 16 siege tanks and held that.
I'm not saying he's innocent to it, but it just wasn't good. Now, in this match, he has only this match to show that he's got more. Otherwise, he's out of WCS.
All right. Let's see if he's got what it takes. In the bottom right, he's our Red Protoss. Kicking off here on Thunderbird, he is DnS.
And his opponent in the top left-hand side, the infamous Ukrainian Zerg. It is Wendigo Bly.
Wendigo. Yeah, he has Wendigo in his name. That only makes me think of that one horror game with the, where the Wendigo or whatever like hunts you down and basically kills everybody. Actually.
Which game is that?
Sure, Till Dawn, I think, something like that. Yeah, that's all. That's where my brain goes. So I don't go skiing anymore, not at night.
Well, you shouldn't anyways. It's dangerous.
It is actually very dangerous to go skiing at night, yes.
Wendigo actually has really cool lore. It's a Native American monster of mythical lore. I believe there's going to be someone in the chat saying, well, actually, I know. All right, you got... Anyways, look it up. It's cool. There's one in the Scary Stories to Tell Yourself at Night.
Yes. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Okay, you brought it all. It's all coming back to me now. Can we talk about something else?
You don't like the Wendigos, do you, Nate?
No. Well, I'm first-generation American, so I've got nothing to do with any of that. Have you actually had anybody mine the minerals on the third on this map to kill you, like, early on?
No. Yeah, they didn't even do much.
I've seen it a few times on NA.
Yeah. Nope, they didn't do any kind of mega all-in off of it. It was more of a, like, now I can scout you freely. And I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, knowing the way that I play, almost every person that tries to be even slightly aggressive will send their first scout to my third just to get to work on that. I've had a lot of people send the two out very early for that.
It's a good balance, though, that it's double, right? Like, it's just the one mineral pile, so you only need the 2 workers to get through the 2. But I feel like if it was more than that, it would never happen except for as a friendly removal.
Yeah.
And then if it was less than that, it would be ridiculous, right? Like if the scout can just be like, yeah, I'll make my way over there and grab it, and then now there's a hole in your base.
It is a good balance that it's just the one. We've seen some people do weird stuff, right? You could technically build an assimilator there. How do we feel about this hatchery, by the way? It's a little bit... This feels like Bly, but I feel like we've also seen him bunch where he's done stuff like this and not committed to it either.
I
don't know what I should be feeling here, Jeffrey.
Apprehension. You should begin to feel nervous on behalf of DnS.
Well, my hands are starting to sweat a little bit,
That's
so...
the desired effect.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and there's drones going off to the right there, too, that do not get scouted. So this can be a spine crawler rush. Queens will come off of that, and they'll walk the creep up there. And the Adept's not going to see much. It's not even going to make its way to the third. As long as there's a little bit of micro here, get around it. No, it will get away, but it doesn't get to the third, so it does not know about this. And with the Adept, there's a chance it stays out on the map. That's the funny thing here, too. So as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, DnS has no idea this is going on. And now, actually, with the limited vision of the Adept, I don't think he sees it either.
Ooh, okay. Well, does he really? Huh.
I mean, he'd be in emergency mode if he knew. There's nothing here.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, he caught a glimpse of the creep coming out, but just one shield battery, as we're talking about, that Stalker at the front. And with the Adept damage that's already been taken, all that energy will be spent very quickly, because weirdly enough, if the Stalker dies, it actually saves him some energy there. But he's going to drop down another shield battery. The Oracle is already out of energy. Sees the Queen, gets pushed back.
Yeah, and the Spine Crawlers come up a little bit ambitiously. The creep's not here yet, so it's going to give DnS some time, but his options are bad. He's making a second Oracle, more Queens coming out here. They're not great DPS, and they are only based off of energy, so their ability to shut down the Spine Crawlers themselves, not great. You want things like Immortals, maybe Void Rays, or Stalkers.
I've never thought in my life that creep spread slowly until this very moment.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was at the base of the ramp, and he was like, I'm already showing my thing. But here we are, and now a third Oracle is queued up. And I just don't like it. It's either, even a single Spore Crawler would really shut this down, but we're not going to see that. And the Spines are going to go to work, and now the energy off the shield batteries will just be to sustain, right? Like, they're not even healing units that are fighting these things. They're just trying to hold the buildings up.
Yep. And he has not yet right-clicked. Because you can put, he has the 3 batteries of almost full energy, but he doesn't want to use it on that Cybernetics core just yet. Wants to keep the energy for the units. Oracles are going to rush up forward, go for one of the Queens, and going for number 2 now, but the Spines and the Zerglings are still there. Oracles get some damage onto his spine, and then they turn around, realizing that the Zerglings are ravaging the base. Now they're going into the main, but there's still Spine Crawlers breaking down the wall. It is nice to get rid of the Queens, because maybe the Void Ray can, if the Void Ray can get into position right, it will melt the Spines, but will it be able to do enough in the time? Well, there's already Spore Crawlers coming out now, too.
We're watching one of DNS's worst days right now, I can tell you that. He is not enjoying anything. Every choice he's made has just not been right, and Bly has that frustrating effect of, like, losing to this is tilting. It just simply is, because if you scout that out early and you make a few different choices, it gets shut down hard. But if you don't see it coming, you are in so much trouble. He's going to get a second Void Ray out here, or he's attempting to. The Spine Crawlers have already crushed down the wall. The shield batteries are depowered, and there's slow Zealots chasing Lings around. And if that doesn't look bad enough, just know that it will continue forever until DnS taps out.
Yeah.
Just more Lings coming.
There's a really cool universe where this is just like a cinematic of a Protoss base being overrun by the swarm as the creep starts to swallow up and the Spines inch their way forward. And
I do love the creep going up on the buildings.
Yeah.
Oracle's going across the map. They're going to see if they can do something. I don't think there's defenses back at home, and that would be pretty amazing. Just now? Well, hang on, Jeff. Did I get way too ahead of myself? The Oracles? I mean, they're going to kill some drones, my man. Ling's trying to go up the ramp. They can't do it. The Nexus will be in trouble, but not for a little while. Okay, no, the Spore Crawlers do finish in time. Queen does get isolated, which is a little bit of a mistake. And these are the only drones, too, by the way. Don't make any...
Oh, he's going to YOLO on that Spore Crawler,
Yeah, but the other one finishes. Oof. So's... Yeah, he just couldn't do it. He's desperate, so he's trying some stuff, but it's not going to be enough. A third Void Ray coming out with the shield batteries behind this. There is a glimmer of hope. I'm not going to lie. It looks weird, but there's hope. I've seen this before.
When the Void Ray starts to take a bit of hull damage as another Spine Crawler gets sniped.
A lot of ground army here. I'm actually... Wait.
Is he doing it?
Yeah, no. This whole time I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, here's my excuse, guys. I landed at 1 a.m. and then I got here 4 hours later. I didn't look at the supply. Todd somewhere hates me. DnS is absolutely...
Yeah, I actually just got a text from Todd. He's disappointed in me.
I feel so silly. I really just didn't look at the supply at all, and I looked at the 3 bases and the crumbling natural, but DnS has just bought so much time. He's not letting him up the ramp. Void Rays are coming out. Shield barriers have gotten remade. And Bly was so all in, he never went above... I mean, he made workers to get to 17. That's how all in he was. Yeah. Wow. This is not DNS's worst day. It's starting to look better.
Yep.
It's feeling better at all times. And the longer this goes, the more dead Bly is. I mean, behind this, he is making drones, but he's also making spore crawlers and stuff just to survive the air army. And that's all.
He did a really good job of surviving up to this point. Like, the Void Rays were super clutch. Just being able to push the spine crawlers back so the buildings can get to work. And now the Lings are going to try and make this push up, but the Void Rays have to distract themselves. Now, if he can
don't lose the Void Rays.
He can get a bunch of drone kills here. That would be really nice. Of course, the Queens in play against those Void Rays still very important. Those are not cheap. Replacing those will not be easy if he loses them.
DnS falling apart a little bit. I mean, he's still up 30 supply. He's doubling in workers. So that wasn't good, but there's so much bad that has to happen for this to turn around. The Lings getting through, sure, but it was part of the army bleeding out to the spine crawlers and dying for free, and then losing a Void Ray to the Queens. Like I said, though, it's comical how ahead DnS is because of how few workers Bly has. Every good move he makes has to be like 4 times better because of the economy of DnS versus his.
Yep, good micro here on the Void Ray, pulling back with that. Oh, I say that,
like,
he does actually end up losing one.
Like that, too, was not a good little move, but he's just so far ahead.
Yeah, and he's just be able to crank out units nonstop. I think he's got this, yeah. Okay, Void Rays are all going to move up, bringing the Oracles in as well. Zealots stepping forward into the fray, and don't feel like the Queen should just be enough against this. The Void Rays are going to pull back to the shield batteries again.
I mean, Bly, it's amazing. He's doing so much with so little here. But look at the Queen's health. I mean, that's actually all you have to look at. They have no transfusions amongst them. The second this fight starts to hit them, they will die. 1 or 2 Queens are just about to die. All the spore crawlers and spine crawlers are about to wash away. This is by no means the cleanest game, but sometimes when you get down in the mud with Bly, this is what it looks like. And there's no creep for these Queens to run away from either. And like Roddy talked about in that first game, sometimes Bly needs a little bit of encouragement to get out of a game. And sometimes he needs a lot of encouragement.
Well, I like what you just used to describe this. I'm just gonna say this was a good mud wrestling match of a StarCraft 2 game.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bly. Yeah.
GG. DnS holds strong. Very sloppy game. Very, very wild game on both sides.
Sloppy. I'm mostly over here just laughing at myself. Like that whole time I was talking about how DnS is just about to leave. Sometimes I'll put my hand, hey, I got tunnel vision, man. I was just looking at the game itself, and then when the Oracles went over the base, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He only has 14 workers in the main, and that's it, actually. Okay, not bad. Great defense from DnS. We do talk about being sloppy and stuff like that, but I do want to kind of limelight and draw attention to this. It's hard. Both these guys are in the loser match, and Bly's doing something that it's just frustrating to play against, but also if you make the wrong call, it's over just like that. You watch the replay and you're like, oh my God, he has 14 workers on 3 hatcheries.
Yeah.
Like it can really tilt you. But DnS actually kept his calm and cool. And yes, there was some sloppy Void Ray loss and stuff like that. But for the most part, he did what it took to win, and that's got to feel good.
Yeah, and I mean to what you're saying as well, against what I originally said, that kind of sloppiness kind of happens when you're in these situations where you force like one strategy like that. Making the right call is almost impossible. Like, what is the right call really in that situation? The Oracles early on defensively didn't do a crazy amount. The counterattacking he did was nice, but I think it's always really hard to go into Void Rays when you're up against Queens, because generally speaking, right, Queens are much cheaper. They're going to do very well against the Void Rays, but the positioning of the rest of the units, the usage of his shield batteries was really good. And I think the biggest thing was, before he was actually trading, just moving forward with the Void Rays, trading the shields for like the 1 or 2 spines, burning all the transfuses out on the Queens really helped, because at that point he was just standing there rather than actually pushing anymore, and that's where DnS started to run away with the game.
No, you bring up a good point, and I like this because the whole mentality of this I find very interesting. But you were talking about the 3 Oracles, and that's because a lot of pro gamers are not used to how weird and scrappy that part of the game is. Bly, of course, is more familiar with that. Generally speaking, Oracles are infinitely better than Void Rays to have as any part of your army composition, except in this scenario. And that's why, like you pointed out, when the Void Rays started coming out, we saw DnS go from being on the back foot to having the potential to push out and do something about that. Would it have been better to open up with Void Rays? Probably, generally speaking. But if it was just Lings and some weird stuff going on, then no, those Void Rays are kind of dead weight and they're actually really bad. So it was funny watching Bly drag DnS down into the weirdness of that.
It's hard to make the right call in that situation, because I think for the most part, Protoss players generally agree, and watching Protoss players, I would say, Void Rays just aren't really that great to just have. In that situation, though, they were exactly the right call. We're loaded into map 2. on Kairos Junction. Let's see if Bly brings some madness to try and turn this one around. What DnS is going to do. Goes for the very fast Pylon Scout with his probe. Does not want to be caught unawares by anything the Zerg player throws at him.
Not against Bly. No. This is,
yeah.
As an experienced nude runner of cornfields myself, I can tell you that you want that probe scout, and you probably want Void Rays, which, to your point, you're like, these are, all pros think they're bad. Yeah, they are, but they're good against Bly most of the time.
Fair
Unless
enough.
you have a Nidus in your main with a bunch of queens.
Yeah, that helps as well. Nidus isn't bad. You can't really put anything off the table when Bly is playing. We had a 12-pool drone rush earlier today.
Yeah, we did.
That happened. It was real, and you didn't hallucinate that. So he's also proxy hatching. This, I think, is kind of like weirdly less crazy, right? Like a decent amount of Zergs will do this to delay even.
Wow. Yeah, it's less crazy than what Bly can do, I guess, but this is our most caster moment we've ever had.
Well, I'm just like trying to think to myself, I'm like, should I say this is a Bly thing? Because I don't think it is. I actually think I've seen this probably more than most of Bly's other builds from other Zergs.
Bly's an escalator, so it starts here, right?
Yeah,
Where it
that's
shows. But there is
well, he's doing it like cat style as well. He's gotten his natural hatch, and now he's gotten a ridiculously late pool. So there really isn't. There's no like early aggression to be had with this, right? Unless he lets the hatch finish and tries to squeeze out a few larvae at the end.
he will let it finish. That's generally what you do. And then it's just a distraction. It's a big distraction carnifex for the Warhammer people out there. But these zealots that are coming out, what do? They're gonna just they're feeding into the cost of this hatch. So like 2 zealots, what do they do to the army? Nothing, right? They lose to lings and queens easily. But they will kill this hatch, and he actually does cancel. Okay, it goes for the evolution.
Okay.
Affordable choice.
I think with the second zealot, this won't be able to finish and bomb, right? So it's just further stalling.
And then look at this Overlord too, by the way. Seeing all of this. It sees there's no warp gate coming up, so maybe there's tech behind it, but maybe not. Now he sees it. Oh my god.
Guess who's back?
That's what I'm saying. Like that level of annoyance. That's the Bly is like the avatar of weird cheesy Zergs.
If you could, you know, it's like you say, usually this term is reserved for like team games, but he's basically a sick griefer in 1v1 StarCraft.
Yeah. He's a troll. Lings coming out, and these depths are going to go across the map. They are aided by 1 zealot, so there's going to be some kind of nice buffer there, but there should be enough Lings. And the thing about this is, like, against another Zerg, maybe this throws him off. Against Bly, he's like, well, I wanted those anyways. I like Lings.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there's no drones to kill. You can't kill that which he doesn't have.
Very true. You can't kill what he doesn't have.
I mean, look at this. Let's look at this again. DnS is at 26 workers. I'll tell you what, that was my one, that was the, you know, the chat's going to eat me up for that, and deservedly so, but I'm going to be staring. I'm a Todd student from this point forward looking at that supply.
Yeah.
It's just bad for Bly already.
And these drones in the natural also under a lot of threat, because all those Lings have been chilling inside the main. Gets 2 of them.
Zealot's actually doing what Zealot can do, by the way.
Zealot is doing the thing.
Now the Adepts.
It did not end
hot
up.
shots. Oh, you bet. Oh, just outside of range.
Imagine if you get clean.
Yeah.
I dream.
And there's the fast robo. Nate talked about this before the series started. This is the meta. Comes out so quick. You can spot the Overlord up there, of course. And then the follow-up to that is what's really scary. And no, it's not your DT opener and stuff like that. It can be, but it, generally speaking right now, is like a Immortal or 2.
Yep.
Or Prism Harass, and then a bunch of sentries. It's that Soul Train all over again. Ooh, a little bit of a Pausarino. Oh, and
F. Okay. Well,
Very
at some
nice.
point that screen will go away and we'll be back into the game. But yeah,
excellent hosting,
good
Nate.
good times.
Thank you.
Hey, you know,
At some
can I
point, that
say?
screen will go away, and we'll be back in the game.
yeah, we'll be back.
The
into
way
that
you just
StarCraft
guided us
match
through this
eventually.
moment in time, I can feel my hand holding your soft hand, and you're like, Nate, where are we going? You're like, Jeff.
Through a
time's up."
field of daisies, you know. I'm just feeling so light. You know, it's we're getting to WCS
nice.
summer, okay? And
Summertime.
now here in the magical place of the Northern Hemisphere, even though we have to be here crazy early in the morning, the sun was coming up. It was not pitch
is
black
beautiful.
darkness when we got in today, which
You guys can keep it, by the way. In Burbank, it's supposed to be like 90 degrees and stuff like that. We're in a blizzard dungeon, so we don't feel that, but up in San Francisco, hottest it gets, like 75. I love it.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, Indy, the time has hit 0, and he has not been booted from the game. That's how powerful he is.
He can't.
Hold on.
He can't be erased. Right.
If disconnect, it's fine.
Yeah.
Me leave? I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, that's where I spend all my battlecruiser rushing dollars, is on air conditioning in Los Angeles. So
Absolutely.
You're very, very correct.
We're back in.
We are back in the video game. It is progressing. Wow. 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 There's ACC's the robotics facility. I can't say that anybody should be surprised by that. The immortal prism juggling. I just remember this period of time where we talked about how this Stargate opener was the only thing that you could do. And so many the patches and discussions were like, how can we push players to go robo? And now it feels like the community discussion is, we went too far, turn it back. But it's you know, history is already set in its motion, Jeffrey.
It's funny. I think what we'll end up seeing, and this the part that's going to be startling to me is how consistently this has been the case. But like, is this build broken? No. If you do an old meta build that was designed around the Stargate as a ZvP counterplay, yeah, maybe it is. But we're already seeing Zergs do what we see Bly doing here, and it's a fine line. And the reason I'm okay with them talking about and probably eventually nerfing the Warp Prism and the whole strategy is it doesn't create for great games. Like, look at how this is shaping up. It's going to be a bunch of gateways. No probes are being made right now, by the way.
Yeah, it's just going to be a one big swing, right?
Yep, bunch of adepts, or not even adepts, excuse me, a bunch of sentries, 2 immortals, Warp Prism, and I hope I caught you off guard-ish, or it's too low econ and the game got weird. Bly is going to make some ravages here, and that's what he should do. He's going to try to buy some time, bait out some force fields, and the game's going to be decided in the next 3 minutes or so. And that's not exciting for me, so that's why I'm okay with it being changed. But we're already seeing Zerg swing back against this.
All right. He's got a lot of links coming in, some ravagers as well. Bile on the Prism would, of course, be huge. The alternating between that warp-in mode and juggling the immortals and running around, it's a very, very delicate part of this for the Protoss player, but he's got a lot of force fields, so the Ravagers will have to bile those instead. Breaks down the first wave of them, and there's that warp-in. Zealots being added. Of course, as that Zealot count goes up, those Zerglings are not going to be as effective. Really going to boil down to the Ravager micro, but DNS is on top of Bly's base. We talked about this. He had the early economy lead, though, so not surprising to see him with a huge amount of forces, but the Ravagers continuing to move forward. The expensive units here for Bly haven't been taken down just yet, but now the Ravagers start to fall. More drones are going to get pulled off the line. In control. DnS getting himself a little bit of vengeance in this group after his loss to Euthermal. Prism still alive after that bile wave, and he's going to be able to reinforce all day. Very well played here out of DNS, and now the immortal juggling begins.
Yeah, and they're truly immortal in this case. If there's nothing that can absolutely destroy the Warp Prism in one volley, then it would take a huge mistake for DNS to lose that. 70 supply to 38. Bly's the one having the terrible bad day. I was talking about DNS in that first match, but no, it is Bly, as this did not work. He had the right answer in terms of units to respond to this, but he tucked himself into that natural. And it was looking okay, but fantastic micro from DNS means that he's got to get that 2-0 win.
G is called, and DNS takes the series here in our loser match 2-0, so he will get another chance to play against the loser of our winner round, which is, of course, going to be that Terran versus Zerg coming up next. But anything stand out for you there?
Yeah.
DNS?
So, you know what? You can hate me if you want. I'm gonna talk without saying the results of last night's GSL. But a good example of how to respond to what you just saw is a lot of coming from different angles, baiting out force fields, and getting the surround with lings, and then using the corrosive biles to hit kind of center mass, drop force fields, that kind of stuff. Bly tucked himself back into that natural, which meant the force fields were always constantly zoning away the melee units like Zerglings and making the Ravagers, as you pointed out, have to destroy the force fields versus doing damage. So it looked okay for Bly, but as the lings evaporated and the corrosive biles were just kind of defensively opening up spots, the units were able to get the damage in from the Protoss player, and then it snowballed from there. And it's a good result for DNS, and that's why the meta's good for Protoss in this matchup right now, but it's kind of annoying to watch, right? Like, that was...
Yeah, it was a bit rough, bit ugly. We've got our winner match coming up next. We're going to see who moves on to the round of 8 first here in WCS Challenger Europe Edition. It's going to be Elaser versus Euthermal, some Terran versus Zerg action coming at you. We are going to go to a quick break. When we return, our TVZ coming up next.